Commander Vex'thral of the Mordai Empire had conquered 47 worlds. He had reduced civilizations to ash, turned proud warriors into broken slaves, and made entire star systems kneel before his might. But he had never, in all his 300 cycles of brutal warfare, encountered anything quite as terrifying as the small pink creature standing before him with her arms crossed. "You're blocking my research station," the human female said flatly. Vex'thral towered over her, his crimson exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh lights of what the humans called Outpost Meridian. His forearms flexed, each ending in claws that could slice through titanium. Behind him, his prized war beast, Kresh'tar, a 50-foot battle serpent bred for maximum carnage, coiled and hissed with enough venom to liquefy a battalion. The human didn't even blink. "Did you hear me?" Her name badge read, Dr. Emma Reeves, Xenobiology Division. She tapped her foot impatiently. "I have samples that need to go into cryo-storage in the next 20 minutes, or 3 months of work goes down the drain. So either vaporize me, or move your scaly butt." Vex'thral's mandibles clicked in confusion. This was not how conquests worked. Usually there was screaming, begging, sometimes poorly coordinated defensive fire. Never had anyone told him to move his, what did she call it, scaly butt? "I am Vex'thral, Supreme Commander of the Mordai Third Fleet." His voice boomed through his translator, designed to inspire maximum terror. "I have laid waste to 47 worlds. Surrender your pathetic outpost or face obliteration." Emma checked her watch. Great speech. Really. Must have practiced that in front of a mirror. But seriously, 19 minutes now. Clock's ticking. One of Vex'thral's subordinates, Lieutenant Krax, leaned in close. "Commander? Perhaps she is simple-minded? The humans are known to be fragile creatures. Maybe the shock has damaged her cognitive functions?" "I can hear you," Emma said. "And I have a PhD in xenobiology, 2 master's degrees, and I once performed emergency surgery on a Veltraxian queen, using nothing but a plasma cutter and sheer audacity. So, no, not simple-minded, just really, really busy." Vex'thral's secondary brain struggled to process this interaction. According to every military database in the Mordai archives, humans were supposed to be easily intimidated. They were soft, short-lived, and lacked any natural weapons. Their planet was a backwater death world, sure, but the creatures themselves? Harmless. Yet, this tiny female seemed genuinely more annoyed than afraid. "Kresh'tar," Vex'thral commanded, "show this insolent creature what awaits those who defy the Mordai Empire." The battle serpent lunged forward, its massive head filled with rows of crystallized teeth, each one dripping with neurotoxin. It released a roar that had made veteran soldiers lose control of their waste elimination systems. Emma sighed. Then she pulled something from her belt. A small device, no larger than her palm. She pressed a button, and a containment field shimmered into existence. Behind the translucent barrier, something stirred. "Meet Artemis," Emma said. The creature that emerged from the portable stasis field was, by most objective measurements, ridiculous. It stood perhaps 2 feet tall, with black and white fur, a flat face, and small ears. It waddled more than walked. Kresh'tar, the terror of a dozen battlefields, took one look at this absurd ball of fluff and recoiled. "That is a Terran honey badger," Emma explained, her tone taking on the quality of someone delivering a lecture to particularly slow students. "Mellivora capensis, native to Earth. And before you ask, yes, I know it looks cute. That's how it tricks you." That tiny rodent is your defender?" Krax stammered. "Oh, honey badger's not a rodent. That's a common misconception. It's actually part of the Mustelidae family, related to weasels and wolverines. Also," Emma added, "you might want to back up." Artemis, apparently tired of being discussed, made a sound somewhere between a growl and a scream that should not have been physically possible from something that size. Then it charged. What happened next would be studied in Mordai military academies for generations, though mostly as a cautionary tale about hubris and the importance of proper intelligence gathering. Kresh'tar, bred for war, trained to fight, and engineered to be the ultimate predator, discovered that evolution on Earth played by different rules. Artemis hit the Serpent like a furry missile, claws and teeth finding purchase in scales that were supposed to be impenetrable. The honey badger climbed, bit, scratched, and generally demonstrated why David Attenborough had once called them the most fearless animals on the planet. Kresh'tar thrashed, trying to shake off its attacker. It slammed into walls, floors, ceiling. Mordai soldiers scattered like leaves in a hurricane. Artemis held on. Honey badgers have incredibly thick skin, Emma continued, as if narrating a nature documentary rather than watching her pet destroy a weapon of mass destruction. Arrows can't pierce it. Most venoms don't affect them. They've been known to fight lions, buffalo, and occasionally bees when they want honey, hence the name. Also, they hold grudges. Once, I saw Artemis remember someone who tried to scan her without permission. 3 months later, she peed in his coffee. "Make it stop!" Vex'thral roared. "Call off your snake first." "Kresh'tar! Retreat! Return to the ship!" The battle serpent needed no further encouragement. It slithered away at maximum speed, Artemis riding on its head like some kind of demented jockey, still biting enthusiastically. Emma whistled, sharp, commanding. Artemis immediately released her grip, landed on all fours, and trotted back to her handler like nothing had happened. Emma produced a piece of meat from another pocket and tossed it to the honey badger, who caught it mid-air and began eating with obvious satisfaction. The Mordai soldiers stared in horrified silence. "Now," Emma said, checking her watch again, "I have 12 minutes, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave, I'm going to save my samples, and we're all going to pretend this extremely embarrassing incident never occurred. Deal?" Vex'thral's pride screamed at him to refuse. To call down his fleet and glass this entire installation from orbit. To show these presumptuous primates what happened when you humiliated the Mordai Empire. But a small, increasingly panicked voice in his head pointed out that if one human with one small mammal could defeat his personal war beast, what else might these creatures be hiding? "This outpost is not worth our attention," he announced, with as much dignity as he could salvage. "We withdraw." "Smart choice," Emma said. She scratched Artemis behind the ears. The honey badger made a sound suspiciously like a purr. As the Mordai forces retreated to their ships, Krax approached his commander. "Sir, the other ships are asking why we're abandoning the assault." "What should I tell them?" Vex'thral watched Emma disappear through a doorway, the honey badger waddling behind her, both completely unconcerned with the fleet of warships hanging in orbit above them. "Tell them the intelligence was wrong," he said finally. "Tell them the humans are more dangerous than we thought. Tell them." He paused. "Tell them we need better scouts." The fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving Outpost Meridian exactly as they'd found it. Inside the station, Emma's colleague, Dr. Marcus Webb, poked his head around a corner. "Did they leave?" "Yep." Emma was already at her workstation, transferring samples into cryogenic storage with practiced efficiency. Artemis convinced them. Marcus looked at the honey badger, who was now sprawled on a cushion, belly full, completely relaxed. "I still can't believe. You brought that thing to a space station." "Artemis is not a thing. She's a highly effective security system with fur. She ate through 3 sets of ventilation covers last month. And we haven't had any more unauthorized access attempts, have we?" Emma pointed out. "Correlation, causation, science." Marcus shook his head, but couldn't suppress a smile. "You know, they'll be back, right? The Mordai don't just give up. Let them come." Emma sealed the last container with a satisfied click. I've got samples to analyze, papers to write, and a honey badger who really doesn't like being interrupted." In the station's observation deck, Lieutenant Commander Rachel Foster had watched the entire encounter through surveillance feeds. As the ranking military officer on Meridian, she probably should have intervened, should have followed protocol, should have done something more official and less insane. Instead, she'd watched a xenobiologist weaponize a honey badger against an alien invasion force, and honestly, it was the most Earth thing she'd ever seen. She opened a secure channel to Earth Command. "Foster to Command. You're not going to believe this, but we just repelled a Mordai assault." "Casualties?" came the immediate response. "None." "Well, their battle Serpent might need therapy." "Explain." Rachel paused, trying to find words that wouldn't make her sound completely unhinged. "Ma'am, we have a xenobiologist on staff named Dr. Emma Reeves. She has a pet honey badger named Artemis. The Mordai commander brought a 50-foot war beast. The honey badger won." Silence on the other end. "Then, repeat that, Lieutenant Commander." Slowly. "The honey badger won." More silence. Then, surprisingly, laughter. "Of course it did. Send full report. And Foster? Get Dr. Reeves a commendation. And maybe a better containment system for her pet." "Copy that, Command." Rachel closed the channel and looked out at the stars, where the Mordai fleet had been. Just minutes ago, humanity had been exploring space for barely a century. They'd encountered dozens of alien species, most of them more advanced, more numerous, more powerful. But none of them had evolved on Earth. And that, Rachel was beginning to realize, might be the most important advantage of all. Meanwhile, halfway across the galaxy, Vex'thral sat in his command chamber, trying to compose a report that wouldn't end his career. The truth was impossible. No one would believe that a creature the size of a small pack had defeated Kresh'tar. But lying was worse. The Mordai valued honesty in battle reports, even when that honesty was humiliating. He settled on a compromise. Technical difficulties, unexpected biological defenses, a strategic withdrawal to reassess and plan a more thorough assault. All technically true. Just missing the part about the honey badger. Krax entered, carrying a datapad. "Commander, I've compiled all available information on Earth's wildlife, as you requested." "Show me." Cassowaries, Cape buffalo, saltwater crocodiles, box jellyfish. The report also included things like geese, swans, and something called a platypus that was simultaneously adorable and venomous. "This can't be right," Vex'thral said. "No planet could produce this many apex predators. According to our sources, humans don't consider most of these apex predators, sir. They call them wildlife. Some they keep as pets." Vex'thral felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Not fear, exactly. More like a profound re-evaluation of the universe and his place in it. "What else does the report say about these humans?" Krax pulled up another file. "They're endurance hunters, sir. They don't have natural weapons, so they evolved to simply outlast their prey. They can run for hours without stopping. They can survive in almost any environment. And according to this," he highlighted a passage, "they consider Earth a death world because of how dangerous it is, but they're so adapted to it that they don't notice anymore." "They don't notice," Vex'thral repeated slowly. "No, sir." One researcher compared it to asking a fish if the water is wet. Vex'thral thought about Emma Reeves, her complete lack of fear, her annoyance at being interrupted. The casual way she'd unleashed a biological weapon and then just gone back to work. That wasn't bravery. That was something far more terrifying. That was normal. "Cancel all planned operations against human territories," he ordered. "Sir? You heard me, Lieutenant. Send word to High Command. Recommend we classify humans as Category 5 threats. Advise extreme caution in all future encounters." Because of one small creature, sir? Vex'thral pulled up the surveillance footage from Outpost Meridian, froze it on a frame showing Artemis mid-leap, claws extended, an expression of pure fury on that flat face. No, he said quietly, because if this is what they consider a pet, I don't want to meet what they consider a weapon. Back on Outpost Meridian, Emma Reeves finished her report, filed her samples, and prepared for another day of routine research. Artemis snored softly on her cushion, dreaming whatever dreams honey badgers had. Probably dreams about violence. The stars turned overhead, indifferent to the small dramas playing out beneath them. Humanity continued its slow expansion into the galaxy, still learning, still exploring, still bringing their terrible, wonderful, absolutely unhinged planet with them wherever they went. And somewhere, in the depths of space, other species were beginning to realize a fundamental truth about these strange pink primates. Earth didn't just produce humans. Earth produced everything that had tried to kill humans and failed, which meant humans were what survived. That, more than any weapon or Adrian technology, was what made them dangerous. 3 months after the incident at Outpost Meridian, Vex'thral received new orders he had desperately hoped would never come. Return to human space, establish diplomatic relations, determine threat level. He read the message 17 times, hoping the words would somehow change. They didn't. High Command had decided that avoiding humanity was not a sustainable strategy. The humans were expanding, claiming systems, establishing colonies. Sooner or later, the Mordai Empire would have to deal with them properly. Vex'thral just wished it could be later. Much later. Preferably after he retired. We have been assigned an ambassador, Krax informed him, looking equally thrilled about this development. Ambassador Thelnora. She's arriving within the hour. Does she know about the honey badger situation? I included it in my preliminary report, sir. And? She said, and I quote, "You're both cowards who got spooked by a rodent." It's not a rodent, Vex'thral said automatically. He'd done extensive research since that day. Too much research. He now knew more about Mustelidae than any self-respecting warrior should. Ambassador Thelnora arrived in a transport, wearing elaborate ceremonial robes and an expression of supreme confidence. She was from the diplomatic caste, educated in 17 forms of negotiation, and completely convinced that any problem could be solved through proper conversation. Vex'thral gave her 2 days before she started screaming. Their destination was Earth itself, not an outpost, not a colony, the actual homeworld. High Command wanted to make an impression, and apparently the best way to do that was to walk directly into the Nightmare Factory and hope for the best. The journey took 6 days. Vex'thral spent most of it reviewing footage of Earth's wildlife and wondering if his life insurance was up to date. You're being dramatic, Thelnora said, reviewing his reports. These creatures are animals, primitive. We have weapons, technology, intelligence. We had all those things at Outpost Meridian. And you lost to a pet, which says more about your tactical abilities than human capabilities. Vex'thral decided he actively disliked the ambassador. Earth loomed before them, blue and white and green. Beautiful, objectively. Deceptively peaceful. Vex'thral knew better. They received clearance to land at a facility called Geneva Diplomatic Center. The approach took them over mountains, oceans, sprawling cities. Vex'thral's sensors detected millions of humans going about their daily lives, completely oblivious to the Mordai ship descending from orbit. Or maybe not oblivious. Maybe just unconcerned. That was somehow worse. The landing pad was surrounded by human security forces, but they weren't pointing weapons. Just standing, watching, waiting. Professional. Calm. A welcoming committee stood at the center of the pad. Vex'thral recognized the human in front, a tall male with graying hair and a formal suit. Ambassador Jackson Mills, according to the briefing. career diplomat, veteran of first contact scenarios with 6 different species. Next to him stood Dr. Emma Reeves. Of course it was Dr. Emma Reeves. "Oh, you have got to be kidding me," Vex'thral said. "What?" Thelnora looked at him. "Who is that female?" "That's her. The one with the honey badger." "The xenobiologist? Why would they bring a scientist to diplomatic proceedings?" "I suspect we're about to find out." They disembarked. The Earth air hit Vex'thral immediately, thicker than he was used to, rich with oxygen. His filters compensated, but he could taste something else in the atmosphere. Something alive, growing, decaying, cycling. This planet was bursting with biological activity in a way most worlds simply weren't. Ambassador Mills stepped forward, hand extended in the human greeting gesture. "Commander Vex'thral, welcome to Earth. I'm Ambassador Mills. This is Dr. Reeves, who I believe you've met." Emma gave a little wave. She wasn't carrying Artemis, thankfully. Small mercies. Thelnora pushed past Vex'thral, all diplomatic grace. "I am Ambassador Thelnora of the Mordai Empire. We come seeking mutual understanding and peaceful coexistence between our peoples." "Excellent," Mills said. "We've prepared a full tour of our facilities, cultural exchanges, and several discussion forums on potential trade agreements. But first, Dr. Reeves has requested a brief presentation. She believes it will help contextualize certain aspects of human civilization." "A presentation?" Thelnora looked at Emma with barely concealed condescension. How quaint. Emma's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, you'll love it. I made slides and everything." They were led to a conference room with enormous windows overlooking a park. Vex'thral watched human children playing on strange contraptions, running, laughing, completely carefree. A small dog chased a ball. Everything looked so normal. So why were his combat instincts screaming? Emma connected her datapad to the room's projection system. The first slide appeared. "So you want to invade Earth? A practical guide to why. That's a terrible idea." Thelnora stiffened. "Excuse me? Just a working title," Emma said cheerfully. "Now, I know what you're thinking. Humans look weak. We're not particularly strong. We don't have claws or venom or natural armor. We must be easy targets." She clicked to the next slide. It showed a human and a Mordai warrior side by side, with measurements. The Mordai was larger, stronger, better armed in every measurable way. "But here's the thing about humans," Emma continued. "We didn't become the dominant species on Earth by being the strongest. We became dominant by being the most stubborn, adaptable, frankly insane problem solvers in the animal kingdom." Next slide, a graph showing extinction rates. Earth has had 5 major mass extinction events. The last one killed the dinosaurs, these massive reptilian creatures that ruled for millions of years, wiped out by an asteroid. Know what survived? Small mammals. Know what descended from those small mammals? Eventually, us. She let that sink in. We didn't just survive extinction events, we thrived in the aftermath. Humans can live in deserts where temperatures reach 50 degrees Celsius. We can live in Arctic regions at -40. We can live at high altitudes with low oxygen. We can live in rainforests full of things trying to kill us. And we do all of this without any specialized biological adaptations because we just make tools and change our environment instead. Thelnora was starting to look less confident. Now, about Earth's wildlife. Emma pulled up a photo of a seemingly innocent body of water. This is a river. Nice, right? Refreshing. Scenic. Also home to hippopotamuses, which kill around 500 people per year despite us knowing they're dangerous. We just keep going near them anyway because we like rivers. More photos. Spiders. Snakes. Jellyfish. Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes kill 700,000 humans annually by spreading disease. We've declared war on them multiple times. They're winning. Vex'thral noticed Mills suppressing a smile. This was rehearsed. This was intentional. This was a message. Then we have the ocean, Emma continued. 70% of our planet's surface. We've explored maybe 5% of it. The rest is full of things we haven't even discovered yet, many of which could absolutely kill us. Do we stay out of the ocean? No. We invented scuba gear and went diving because we just had to know what was down there. A photo of a great white shark appeared. Sharks, ancient predators, perfect killing machines. Our response? We made movies about them, developed shark tourism, and some people started cage diving to get closer to them for fun. For fun! Thelnora was gripping her chair. Mount Everest? Emma said, showing a photo of a snow-covered peak. 8,000 meters tall. Thin air. Freezing temperatures. Avalanches. Over 300 people have died trying to climb it. We put up a waiting list because too many people want to try. Click. Next slide. Australia. An entire continent where everything is either venomous, poisonous, or wants to eat you. We colonized it anyway, and now millions of people live there quite happily, despite the spiders the size of your face. Vex'thral made a mental note to never ever visit Australia. My point, Emma said, is that humans evolved on a planet that actively tried to kill us every single day. We don't have thick skin like honey badgers, or venom like snakes, or size like elephants. What we have is pattern recognition, tool use, endurance, and an absolutely unhinged refusal to accept that something is impossible. She pulled up a final slide. It showed a simple equation. Humans plus problem equals eventually solved, usually through questionable methods. When you brought a battle serpent to my research station, Emma said, looking directly at Vex'thral, you brought one threat, one admittedly large and scary threat, but just one. I grew up on a planet with thousands of threats, many of them invisible. You adapted to survive on worlds you conquered. I adapted to survive on a world that was trying to kill me from birth. So here's my presentation summary, she concluded. Don't invade Earth. Not because we'll fight you, though we will, but because fighting is just one strategy, and we have hundreds. We'll outlast you, outthink you. We'll turn your own weapons against you or find some ridiculous workaround you never considered. We'll befriend species you enslaved and learn everything they know. We'll adapt to your tactics faster than you can deploy them. She smiled. It was not a comforting smile. And here's the radical thought. We could just be friends. Trade partners. Allies. We're actually quite pleasant when people aren't trying to conquer us. We'll share technology, culture, terrible television shows. We'll teach you about Earth's ecosystems. We'll learn about yours. Nobody has to get traumatized by a honey badger. You cannot threaten the Mordai Empire. I'm not threatening anyone, Emma said. I'm educating you. There's a difference. Mills stepped forward. Dr. Reeves makes an excellent point, though perhaps more bluntly than traditional diplomacy requires. The fact remains that Earth and the Mordai Empire can either be enemies or friends. We strongly prefer the latter option. Vex'thral surprised himself by speaking. As do I, Ambassador Mills. Despite my previous miscalculations, I have great respect for your species' capabilities. The honey badger thing? Mills asked. The honey badger thing? Vex'thral confirmed. For what it's worth, Artemis is an outlier even among honey badgers. Emma raised her from a cub after a wildlife rescue situation. Most honey badgers would have just bitten once and left. Most, Vex'thral said weakly. Artemis holds grudges, Emma said. It's a personality quirk. The rest of the day proceeded with actual diplomatic discussions, trade routes, technology exchanges, cultural ambassadors, all very proper and official. But Vex'thral noticed things. The human security forces never relaxed, but they never appeared hostile either. Just ready. Waiting. The park outside continued its normal activities. Children playing. oblivious to the aliens in the building above them. That confidence, that complete lack of fear, was more intimidating than any weapon. During a break, Vex'thral found himself alone with Emma on an observation balcony. "I apologize," he said finally, "for my initial approach at Outpost Meridian. It was disrespectful." Emma shrugged. "You were doing your job. Conquest, intimidation, standard Imperial stuff. I was doing mine. Research, sample preservation, unleashing biological deterrence. Is Artemis here?" "At a wildlife sanctuary, 2 hours away." "Don't worry." "I wasn't worried," Vex'thral lied. They stood in silence for a moment. "Can I ask you something?" Emma said. "Why did you really retreat? You had ships, weapons? You could have glassed the outpost from orbit." Vex'thral considered the question. "Because your lack of fear made me realize you knew something I didn't. And in warfare, unknown variables are the most dangerous thing." "Smart." "I'm still not entirely sure what I was missing." Emma smiled. "You weren't missing anything. That's the point. I wasn't brave. I was just annoyed and busy. Earth conditions you to prioritize immediate problems over potential threats, because there are always immediate problems. A Mordai invasion? That's a tomorrow problem. Samples degrading? That's a right-now problem." "That's insane." "Yeah," Emma agreed. "It really is. But it works." The negotiations concluded successfully. Trade agreements signed. Embassy exchanges established. Cultural programs initiated. The Mordai Empire and humanity would be partners, not enemies. Vex'thral considered it a personal victory that he survived the experience. As his ship prepared to depart, Mills approached with a gift, a small container, carefully sealed. "From Dr. Reeves," Mills said. "She wanted you to have this." Vex'thral opened it cautiously. Inside was a datapad loaded with files, Earth's Wildlife Encyclopedia, complete with videos, behavioral studies, and survival guides. There was also a note, "So you'll know what else to avoid. Also, there's a section on cats. They're adorable, but will ignore you completely. Consider yourself warned." Emma. Despite everything, Vex'thral found himself laughing. Actual laughing. Something he hadn't done since before his military service began. "Your Dr. Reeves is a unique individual," he told Mills. "You have no idea," Mills replied. "Last month she convinced a Velkaran delegation that Earth dolphins were psychic. Took us 3 days to explain she was joking." "Dolphins?" "Highly intelligent aquatic mammals. They're wonderful until they decide they don't like you. Then they're terrifying. Classic Earth behavior." The journey home felt different, lighter somehow. Vex'thral reviewed the files Emma had provided, learning about creatures he'd never imagined. Komodo dragons, with toxic bites. Electric eels. Mantis shrimp with punches that could break aquarium glass. Every entry reinforced the same conclusion. Earth was a nightmare world that produced nightmare creatures, and humans were the species that survived them all. But they had also produced music, art, literature, philosophy. They had produced individuals like Emma Reeves, who could weaponize a honey badger in the morning and give an educational presentation in the afternoon. They had produced diplomats like Mills, who could negotiate peace while casually mentioning their planet's countless horrors. They were contradictions. Beautiful, terrible, absurd contradictions. When Vex'thral filed his final report with High Command, he recommended full alliance status with humanity. Not because they were weak, but because having them as enemies would be catastrophically stupid. The recommendation was approved within hours. Somewhere on Earth, in a wildlife sanctuary, Artemis the honey badger dozed in the sun, completely unaware that she had fundamentally altered galactic politics. She dreamed simple dreams of food and comfortable places to sleep, and perhaps mildly annoying the humans who thought they could control her. Emma visited that evening, bringing treats and scratches behind the ears. "You're a good girl." Emma said. Yes, you are. Who's a terrifying biological weapon? You are. Artemis made her happy sound, the one that was almost a purr, but more aggressive. Life continued. Research resumed. The galaxy turned. And humanity, having accidentally conquered through the power of being too busy to notice they were being invaded, went back to doing what they did best: surviving, adapting, and occasionally traumatizing alien warlords with their pets. It was, all things considered, a very human solution to the problem of galactic diplomacy. Somewhere in deep space, other species began receiving the same message through various channels. Unofficial warnings passed between traders and scouts. The humans from Earth are not to be trifled with. They have terrible creatures. They survived their own planet. They think Australia is a nice place to live. They are absolutely unhinged. But also, they make excellent trade partners, and their coffee is worth the risk. Vex'thral, now promoted to ambassador after his successful negotiations, kept the datapad Emma had given him. He added to it, collecting stories from other species who'd encountered humans. The engineer who'd watched a human fix a critical engine failure with something called duct tape and pure confidence. The merchant who'd learned humans would try to befriend literally anything, including his cargo of highly aggressive Xenthar beetles. The scientist who'd discovered humans had a concept called extreme sports that seemed designed to maximize injury risk for entertainment purposes. Every story reinforced the same truth. Humans were dangerous, yes, but they were also generous, curious, creative, and determined to find solutions to problems most species would consider unsolvable. They were exactly what you'd expect from a species that evolved while everything around them was trying to eat them. And now, they were among the stars, bringing their chaos with them. The galaxy would never be quite the same. But that was fine. Change was good, even if it came with honey badgers.